The main reason I came here today was to talk about this Made Whole. Injured workers, by definition, are not made whole. They only get 2/3 of their wages, and that's capped at $695 a week. So if you're making $50,000 a year or more, you're not even getting 2/3 of your wages. Injured workers are not entitled to pain and suffering or quality of life. I've represented diesel mechanics that maybe tore their rotator cuff. They love to hunt. A result of that torn rotator cuff, cannot climb. They cannot climb in their deer stand. They cannot pull a bow to deer hunt anymore. They're not compensated for that in workers' comp. Injured workers don't get to pick their doctor. The insurance companies pick their doctor, and the insurance companies send case managers to the appointments that bully the doctor and tell the doctor to do what they want them to do. So there are lots and lots of things that injured workers don't get. It is a very small percentage that can say, hey, there was somebody else that was at fault, and let's make a claim against that other party. That could be a defective piece of equipment, that maybe it is a car wreck, and they hire an attorney, and we go after whoever that wrongdoer is. They always defend by saying, well, that worker was injured because they weren't properly trained, or, well, that employer didn't properly maintain the equipment, and that's why it didn't work. And so their damages are cut by a percentage, and so that's why a lot of times the recovery is not as much. Right now, the way the law works is when we get a recovery, and let's just say from a third party, 90% of the time, I'm talking with the insurance lawyer and saying, well, can we work out a deal? We'll pay you back this much goes to the worker, and we usually work out a deal most of the time. But if we cannot work out that deal, if everybody's being unreasonable, the way this process works is we ask for a hearing in front of an administrative workers' comp law judge. Those judges are appointed by the governor of the state of Arkansas, and we can go in front of the judge. I can put on evidence, the insurance company can put on evidence, and the judges can decide this is what's fair out of the settlement. I'm going to give this much to the worker, I'm going to give this much back to the insurance company. And whoever, if anybody doesn't like it, has the right, an absolute right, to appeal that judge's decision to the Workers' Compensation Commission, which is a member of 3 commissioners appointed by the governor. And it's a do-over. That Workers' Comp Commission can look at the facts and decide what's fair. What is the fair distribution of this settlement? And if somebody's unhappy with that, they have the right to appeal that decision to the Arkansas Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals can evaluate it. And if they don't like that, they have the right to ask the Arkansas Supreme Court to decide, and that's how it works. And it's a court of equity and fairness. And that's the way it works today. And what this bill does is it flips it on its head, and it ensures that the insurance company gets paid back at the expense of the injured worker. And whether it's an insurance company or a self-insured, the injured worker didn't choose it. The injured worker didn't choose whether you want to be self-insured or whether you just want to pay an insurance premium like my firm does. And if somebody on my staff gets hurt, I turn it over to my insurance company and they take care of it. And I want my clients, my people that work for me, to be taken care of. And if they can recover from somebody else, I hope that they're made whole. And I've got one example that I wanted to do, just the math. If you are fatally injured on the job, your spouse is entitled to 35% of your wages, your average weekly wage. So let's just say I make $12 an hour. Let's say there was a shortage at the construction job, and they're like, hey, we need you up on the roof. We haven't really trained you, but I need you up on the roof. And you have a defective product, and you forgot to put on your harness, and you fall off and you die. Well, you might have a claim against that for that defective product, but there's a lot of arguments that they shouldn't have put you on that roof. But back to, so your average weekly wage is $480. you've died, and your wife, your spouse, is entitled to 35%. Well, she's certainly not made whole by 35%. That's $168 a week. I just came up with a number of 450 weeks. That number comes up in workers' comp. So if she's paid $168 a week, that totals $75,600. What did that's $8,700 a year that she got paid, or that she gets paid until she remarries. And I'm not even talking about if they had children. Let's just leave it at that. So there's $140,000, the other 65% that workers' comp didn't pay, there's $140,000 that she didn't get paid. You cannot live on $168 a week. You're going to be applying for government help. So she makes a claim against this defective product, and let's just say that she gets $140,000 in a settlement. She's made whole by that settlement. She does have to pay an attorney. Attorneys have to get paid. She doesn't have the money to pay them $250 an hour like an insurance company. She's got to pay a contingency. So after the cost of collection, we could argue, is she still made whole with the $93,600 that's left? She wouldn't be made whole, but we could argue with the insurance company. We could put it in front of a workers' comp judge, and the judge could decide it. Under this law, we can't put it in front of a workers' comp judge. We can't take it to the workers' comp commission. The insurance company gets $62,000, and she only gets $31,000. It's totally flipped the script. And so this injured Arkansan didn't even get half of their damages, but the insurance company got almost everything back, plus they're keeping the insurance premiums that they were paid to take on this risk. So at the end, I mean, I'm certainly willing to answer any questions. I've spent 23 years of my life, this is what I do all day, every day. This bill is extremely unfair to the injured worker. I ask that you vote no. We've got it absolutely right now that we've got these workers' comp judges that can make the decision. Typically, we work them out anyway, but I'm certainly willing to answer any questions that anybody has.